I'll share the link for anybody here in the, so we should be streaming now.
Thank you, Dan. So if anybody hears of anybody having issues trying to connect to stream, please feel free to share that.
YouTube.com.
Correct.
If you want to speak and you're muted and if it's a situation where we can take you off of mute, raise your hand and we'll try to unmute you.
So before we start on that, right, Sandra's got a eulogy she wanted to start with.
Yes, if that's all right. Well, then we'll proceed. Go ahead.
That's it, yay. Let's go ahead.
Okay. And just to let everybody know, we are recording this. So if you know, we're recording it for those people who were not able to join the live memorial service. So if someone objects to being recorded, please decline the offering to offer any verbal or written messages or memories. Or I can edit it out if you feel like British. But anyway, this is a celebration of a human being that had an impact on so many lives. Ed's dedication to his students, his peers, and his friends have left a lasting mark on everyone he encountered. I believe that is why our unexpected sudden loss has affected all of us so deeply. So, but Ed was born here in Illinois. He started here in Illinois, but then he's lived in places like Ohio, Minnesota, and Georgia, Atlanta, to be specific. Very interesting times then. But being being a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional, also he also traveled to Seattle, Washington. And for those who had never stepped outside of our comfort zone, Ed did that for others. He even traveled to Beijing, China. He used to work for a company called UT Starcom, and he had to go out there and facilitate training. It was a company that used to be called, I believe, US Robotics. So, but I I've never been to China myself, so I guess I should do that one of these days, right? So, but I just a little background. I first met Ed at the computer labs at Harper College, and those who are a part of Harper College, it's grown by leaps and bounds. So, but I believe I was taking an assembler programming class, and I think Visual Basic too. And when I was testing my programs in the labs, as usual, Ed would offer his knowledge of computers and software programming, and before you know it, we were dating. And before Ed passed away, we were together for a little over 35 years. So it's a long time to try to get used to somebody, right? So, but in any respect, I just wanted to bring some memories forward, just because it reminds everything that we're gonna see and hear today possibly is a part of who he was, especially with the moniker of the Wizard. I don't recall where that moniker came from. I think it's a mix of a lot of different things, as well as somebody probably denoted it as a part of one of his visits to the Microsoft Summit conferences. So, but there was always something mystical and larger than life about Ed. I don't recall how he got the wizard coat. I don't know if you've seen the image postings that I've done before, but he has this long, sort of like hooded coat that looks like a wizard's outfit. It has a peak at the top of the hood itself. but it served him well because he's used it at Halloween and at live concerts. But and to carry that mysticism forward, Ed would carry his singing bowls and make them sing and send out vibrations to the universe. And for example, I don't know how much louder you can hear it, but that was kind of what Ed did. So, but he also really enjoyed camping, and I always equate that to the Japanese practice of Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing. It's a simple and therapeutic act of spending time in a forest. Being in a forest and paying attention to our surroundings stimulates the senses enough to ease the drive to do something, and yet is calming enough to allow us a moment of peace. And I think that's what makes camping outdoors a must. But when we had Memorial Day tent camping, it was always special. It was even magical, like that. It was like that for me and Ed. On the average, the skies were clear. And we always had a blanket of a billion stars that we could see flickering overhead, allowing us to just be. Ed always enjoyed the challenges of cooking in primitive conditions too. Some of us got to enjoy his smoked salmon quite often for breakfast on Sundays. So it was always a feast, more like a brunch actually. So we're keeping it simple, and by letting the wood or the charcoal and the fire to create a savory or sweet memory. That's what always reminds me of Ed. Something like that, just because he shared it with so many people, that whoever joined us on the camping trips, it was just a lot of fun. It was a lot of good memories. But the best thing about those camping trips, he never ever forgot the time that Matt Loringer was on the East Coast, and he came back to join us on the Memorial Day camping trip, and he brought lobster tails, and we got to make the side dishes along with a grilled asparagus salad, and it was just, it's not your typical dogs and burgers kind of thing. So I always kind of thought that was what made the memories and made those kind of moments really special, because you remember goofy things like that, right? So, but we got to play a lot of games, and for some reason he was always almost kind of competitive when playing dominoes. We used to play Mexican Train a lot, just so we could probably penny each other, or try to get everybody to penny themselves because they didn't want to do what they did. So, but then there is the Jello shots. It's been a while because we had less and less time to do setups and things like that, but we had a combination of Jello gelatin and some liqueurs and some some fruits we actually added to them to make them almost like a Jello cocktail. And it was always kind of fun because we got to come up with the various recipes that I probably could share. I think I've got a slide or two with that on it, but it would be kind of fun one of these days to just do a Memorial Jello shot. But that's a whole nother ball of wax. You don't want to be driving after that. But oh, and let's not forget the petrified poker stick. I've trying to remember where we picked that up, but it's been with us, and it's still in my garage, as a matter of fact. It's withstood about 5 to 6 years, maybe more, of fire pit tending, so it's a part of the legend. So, but in moving on to his professional career, every minute of Ed's waking hours was learning and doing. It was almost like a constant hunger for learning that gave Ed a reason to get up in the morning. His commitment to being a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional, or for short MVP, Michael Victor Paul, was a sense of pride for Ed. His accomplishments were marked by being voted one of many Microsoft valuable professionals around the world for a total of 16 times, but I could be wrong about that. It could be more. Other MVPs around the world were like another family, a very big one, a global one. And this is very evident from the outpouring of memories from folks in, like, say, China, Australia, India, and so on. So, and I can't say enough about the MVPs that helped me make this celebration possible. I appreciate Dan Ray, Michael Blumenthal, Ralph Rivas, especially Mikey Zweier. He's been a shoulder to lean on for me. So thank you for helping me get this vision into reality. Thank you, thank you. So, but you know, in making Ed who he was, I think it was half the formula of constantly either laughing at something, like say Fireside Theater, Mel Brooks's movies, Monty Python, or National Lampoon. It made his dry, witty, and probably opinionated and unyielding commentary on what the state of the world is, the state of himself, and how he can laugh at himself. He always tried to, you know, do that, you know, the self-effacing thing, but also to kind of make light, you know, bring to light some of the things that, you know, possibly he thought were maybe wrong with the world or right with the world, etc. So, but I just wanted to say, just to interject, we are the knights who say "me," as they say, and if that's a reference to Monty Python. They used to have, I believe that was a part of the Holy Monty Python and the Holy Grail, as a matter of fact. So, but in any event, Ed's family, his personal family, is spread out across the U.S. Some here in Illinois, some in Texas, and some in Florida. I got the chance to have Ed's dad, Ed Gallagher Sr., live with Ed and myself for a little while. And I have met Sarah, his sister, but I never got a chance to meet his brother, John. So, but I have met Ed's Aunt Pat. So, but it's always good to meet a bunch of his family, however spread out they are, and you know, and just connect with them because it's a part of who Ed is. And from what I recall, Ed has nephews that are also called Ed Gallagher, and quite a few of them are, I believe, either priests or in the religion itself. So, but that really made it confused. That probably makes it really confusing at family gatherings when somebody says, you know, something out loud. Hey, Ed, gonna da 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 da. Well, I bet you a whole bunch of heads start to turn around. So I always thought that was a funny little bit that he told me initially, that he had so many family members that also had their first name being Ed. I would have a very hard time in a family gathering, but and funny, talking about a larger family, he happened to mention to me at one time he was of royal descent, to the English royal family, I mean. And in order to rule England, he would have to find ways to remove about 3,500-ish relatives to ascend to the royal throne. So, little short note, it's probably very difficult to remove folks. So, but moving on, since he liked that kind of larger than life lifestyle, he also liked food and wine, of course, right? He gets it from his dad, Ed Gallagher Sr., and he taught him how to appreciate fine wines, finely aged Scotch, whiskey, excuse me, Scotch whiskey. I probably would have gotten a slap on the hand for that one. But Bombay Sapphire gin martinis with blue cheese olives were his cocktail of choice. And food was just such a sensory experience for Ed. The artistry and the discipline to produce a fine meal was something that Ed savored. So, and probably almost too much so. But then there's the fine beauty and artistry of sushi. Watching the sushi chefs make sushi as make the sushi was just as exciting as eating it. It's just such simple beauty. And even going on for that continuing passion for life, whether it moving on to like music and culture, whether it was the Grateful Dead, Jerry Garcia, Hawkwind, Mata Hoople, Frank Zappa, Mr. Blotto. I mean, I could go on and on about that because he has so many different musical genres that he experiments or tastes. At least he gets a taste of it in order to be able to see the various creative views that can be offered from a musical standpoint as well as an artistic standpoint. But it made him connect with so many different people from so many different backgrounds and cultures. He not only loved the different types of music, but he also felt it. He felt it to his core. So, but at a concert, if there was a grilled cheese opportunity, he was all in. He would either, if it was live music and he was camping out or something, that fajita pan was the next best thing to a full meal. But in just closing my eulogy, I just want to say Ed's gregarious personality was like a hug from a good friend, and hopefully everyone feels exactly that same way. Very caring and warm. I just want to say all of us love you and miss you very much. We will all join you and give you a big hug one of these days. Excuse me. Thank you for sharing this moment with me. This means so much to me. The light in me honors the light in you. And for those who have access to a microphone on their PC and would like to share a memory, and please feel free to raise your hand. It's that little icon in the toolbar. It says raise. It looks like a hand itself. Oh, I did it out of frame. But if you don't have a microphone attached, you are more than welcome to type a memory in the chat window, and I can read it out loud from the chat window. All right. Thank you.
All right, thanks. We've got a few people already raising their hands. Cody was first.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, Ed obviously Ed was a close friend of mine, and obviously so was Sandra. But I just wanted to say, I wrote down a few things that I thought Ed liked, and I thought I'd share that with you. Ed liked to camp. Ed liked doing nice things for other people. Ed liked wine. Ed liked to cook. Ed liked pleasing others. Ed liked dining out. Ed liked whiskey. Ed liked friends. Ed liked computers. Ed liked doing nice things for others. Ed liked doing things over the top. Ed liked helping others. Ed liked music, concerts. Ed liked beer. Ed's Irish. Ed liked politics. Ed liked doing nice things for others. Ed liked dominoes. Ed liked doing things his way. Ed liked sharing. Ed liked meeting new people. Ed liked doing nice things for others. But most of all, Ed loves Sandra. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thanks so much, Cody. Stefan, go ahead.
Hey everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Stephen Rose. I was a Microsoft employee for 14 years and one of those people who made sure that every year Ed's contributions got noticed and that he stayed an MVP. I ran and led the MVP program for Windows, later for OneDrive, and later for Office. I first met Ed in 2010. We were doing a Springboard Series Windows 7 event. Actually, it was 2009, sorry. In Chicago, and I grew up in Chicago, and I met Ed, and Ed is a beam of light. Ed is one of those people who would do anything for anybody, even if he didn't know them. All you had to do was just ask, and that's who he was. He's like, "Hey, I'm Ed Gallagher. I want to meet you. Great to meet you. I know who you are. What can I do to help?" And I'm like, "Well, if you could stand over there and give out some books," and yeah, absolutely. And whenever there was an opportunity at Ignite at any event, Ed absolutely was first in line to help with anything that he could do. And I always made time at MVP Summit, at Ignite, at any of the conferences that Ed attended to get some one-on-one time with him, to just, hey, how are things going? How are you doing? How's the family? How are you feeling? We'd always laugh. We'd always hug. He was just such a genuine person who wanted nothing out of people except just, to be there for them. I recently lost my role at Microsoft about a week or so ago, and somebody asked me, which I thought was very interesting, after being there for 14 years, what was the most valuable thing I learned while at Microsoft? And I said, being a connector, helping to connect people to other people whose strengths and talents offset and augment yours. And that is 100% who Ed was. If Ed didn't know the answer, he would make sure to find somebody who did and make sure that you got into the right hands and did that. And I greatly respect that and respected him. And just like I said, an amazing person who I think it will be difficult to go back to Chicago and not see him and not have him be part of those events that I do there and not run into him. So there's definitely great loss for all the people that got to know him and love him in community and the great work that he did. And for me personally, and just losing a really caring friend who genuinely, when he said, "How are you?" actually really wanted to know and wanted to see what he could do to help. And that was Ed. So I just wanted to make sure I was here today to share that and to share that with all of you, and just give thanks to all the amazing work that he's done over the years. So thank you to all of those who were his friend, who supported him, and who were taught and mentored by him.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much. We've got Michael up next.
Hello. Oh, can I share my screen too, please? I made a slide.
Oh, sure. Hold on one second. Trying to get my hands to do the same thing I'm doing.
Just a moment. I think Dan, can you make Michael a presenter?
Yeah, let's see if I can do that quickly here, Michael.
Sure.
Can you hear that soundtrack okay? Or too low?
We're not.
I can't hear the soundtrack. I wonder if it's either too low or if there's the background canceling in Teams.
Okay, I've got the share button now. Thank you.
Excellent, no problem.
Start it over then.
Let me share my screen. There we go.
Well, I've got that one too.
Okay. So hopefully everyone can see. I'm an MVP as well. Hi, I'm Michael Blumenthal. One of the ways I knew Ed was through the MVP program. I've been an MVP for 8 years. He was an MVP for 16 years. The MVP program is something where you have to re-earn that award every year, and he did that for 16 years. And it's about community contribution and giving back to the community. And to the extent that he did that year after year after year is truly amazing. So I put together some of the ways, the things that I either learned about Ed and or ways I knew Ed. So again, 16 years in the MVP program. We were also in Toastmasters together. There, for a while, a few years ago, we started a Toastmasters club, or I should say, Dan was part of this as well, starting the Toastmasters club here in the Midwest District of Microsoft, and Ed at one point was the leader of that. I joined the club and actively participated in that and got a lot of experience at giving speeches, and I had the privilege of having Ed evaluate one of my speeches. So I got to see him through the Toastmasters Club and through the MVP program, and then things that, like, there are parts of him though, the way that he contributed back to the local tech community. Some of these things I didn't know until I was researching, was that he was the curriculum coordinator for all things Microsoft, and he was a computer networking and systems instructor at Oakton Community College. And he also ran a user group at Harper College. And so, I mean, to have that level of instructor so deeply technical at a community college must have been a great benefit to all of his students. Like, he had the depth of knowledge. He held 70 certifications. He was recognized as a OneDrive expert. He also came to my user group. I ran a user group called the Office 365 Adoption User Group, and he was a constant active member, constant attendee. He was also an advisor to the Chicago Computer Society. So this was, I mean, that's an amazing level of participation in our local technical community. And I found this quote from when he received his 10th MVP award, and it was recognized in one of the local newspapers and on Oakton's website, where he said, "If I keep winning this award, I must be doing something right." And that is so true. I mean, it is, again, I really want to honor how much he gave back to his community. So thank you, Ed. You will be missed.
You all good, Michael?
I'm good. Yes, thank you.
For that note, you get a ding.
Thanks so much, Michael. We just got a hand raised. So, Dr. Ferrero?
Close enough.
Corolla.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. Ed was one of those handful of patients who became a friend. Over 30 years ago, he helped me build my first computer. And I just still remember in that big old tower and my son, you know, looking at us putting this thing together, and Ed smiling, explaining stuff. And now it's a 4-inch by 1.5 inch box, and back of the computer screen. Just amazing. And how he kept my office going all these years and scratching my head and making me do stuff that I don't want to do, but I did it because don't turn your computer off. Just sign out and let it, okay. But it was sad. We miss him. And he was always there. Not a morning guy. No.
More like an afternoon guy.
Yeah. But yeah, and you got the key. Shut the door and you leave.
Yeah, exactly.
He was
Again.
a morning guy, 1 o'clock in the morning guy.
Yeah. I never knew he camped. That was interesting to hear. I never thought he was a camper. Always there for you, a true friend. And it's nice to hear, Sandra, I know you too, and the caring you guys had, it was special.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm glad to be a part of this. And please let me know if there's anything else we can help you with.
Yeah, no. For right now, I'm just trying to get past this part. I still got a long ways to go.
Yes.
Long ways to go. Anyone else? Mikey, you see anything? Because I've got the presentation up, so.
Nobody else has a hand up right now. I didn't prepare anything, but I met Ed at Harper as well, something like 28, 29 years ago. Of course, it was surrounding computers. I was a lab aide. I was taking off. I first don't really remember him until for, I don't know how many Harper people are here, back in the old J245 lab. And his office space, let's just call it that. It was just, he was surrounded by computer equipment and computer manuals back in the day when everything had to be printed, right? You didn't have the internet as you do today. I got to know Ed more than just as a computer person. Some of the fellow friends also know me from camping. To the food that he would cook, those early days of camping when I first started with you guys, geez, I ate better during those camping trips than I did, every day or any other day. And definitely someone that would give of himself, regardless if it was computer equipment, camping suggestions, setting things up. There was just so much. We both had some of the music that he enjoyed, I did as well. So there was concerts that we also attended. It was just so wonderful of a man. Thank you. Anybody else? Go ahead, Dan.
I'm trying to recall where I met Ed, and I think it was through the MVP site. As I was planning to leave Microsoft in 2016, I went through all the most valuable professionals in the Chicago area. I already knew Michael Blumenthal. I already knew some other contacts in the Schaumburg area, and I came across Ed's name and couldn't recall if we had met or not. And so I reached out, explained, that I was leaving Microsoft and wanted to continue to be involved with the local community and was looking for what was next for me. He found out I was an MCT, gave me an opportunity at Oakton Community College, kind of a roundabout way, as opposed to, becoming either adjunct or faculty. Ed said, well, I already have a class on Windows Server. Why don't you just teach a couple of those classes? And was instrumental in getting me back in front of a class. And that was probably one of the best times that I had just collaborating with Ed and talking with him and visiting and, you know, getting to know him kind of outside of the tech and the Toastmasters and the Microsoft events that I'd constantly run into him at. And then found out that he was also a instructor at Harper. We had a mutual MCT that we knew at Harper. There were just a lot of different places that Ed and I would connect. And to Michael's point about, you know, Ed was just a request away from attending something. I gave a presentation at a retirement center in Huntley, Illinois, and was expecting at least 200 people in the crowd. The topic was OneDrive. OneDrive's probably best when you have other people using OneDrive and can show some of the collaboration and sharing functions. And Ed, without any type of request himself, not only woke up on a Saturday morning, because that's when they met, the first Saturday every month, but joined me there in person to just show some of the collaboration functions and just assist with some of moving around the computers and, you know, getting everything set up for the presentation and move all that equipment off after the presentation. He's that type of friend where all you had to do was ask. And we went out to lunch that day and just had an opportunity in December of this year to do what many of us take for granted. And that's, you know, maybe not tell somebody about how much they mean to us. He had recently had a diagnosis and shared that with me and shared, you know, what he meant. I had an opportunity to share what he had meant to me from just friendship and professional relationships, those types of things. So I'm glad I had the opportunity to do that, but, you know, thought, you know, we'll see each other in 2023. We'll have other opportunities to work together to maybe do things on a personal level in the future. You never know what tomorrow's going to bring. So, Sandra, Mikey, thank you for, you know, your trust and guidance on putting this together. And, you know, I'm glad we were able to do something virtually in just honoring both Ed Gallagher Jr. and the many people that know him, not just the, you know, the technical side or the personal side. I think this is wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Just a little other tidbit on his computer professional side. You know, we heard that he was a MVP for 16 years. I think for about 15, he's on and off asked me to see, you know, to try and go that route. So definitely that was a passion of his that he wanted to spread. Cody had another set of words. Go ahead.
I do. So if anybody's out there having a cocktail right now with Ed, bullshit.
Exactly. I didn't know how family friendly that was. I didn't put it in the presentation. So,
Raise your glass and toast Ed.
we're definitely going to do that in person, Dave. Very soon. Very soon. We should get a bunch of the folks together.
Thanks, Cody. We've got next. We've got Paul and Joanne.
Do they have a microphone? Or are they on text?
They're unmuted. We do not hear them.
Yeah, I don't think they have a microphone.
Well, they're trying
So
to
go
talk,
ahead. Yeah.
but it's not, nobody's hearing them.
If you want to go ahead and write something in the chat. Yep, you're off muted now. So I see that your name is flashing, so we hear background noise, but we do not hear you.
I have a headset on. I can hear you, but you're really, really quiet.
Well, Mary McNulty posted something in the chat room too. She says she didn't have a working microphone, so I leave this with you. Her favorite memories. She met Ed for the first time when he and Don and Paul became roommates, sharing a house on Algonquin Road. He was definitely a night owl. One of my fondest memories of Ed, and one I shared with many people about the limitless possibilities to campsite cooking. There you go. Ed tying a stuffed pork tenderloin and cooking it on an open campfire. Amazing, he said. We had a common love of martinis, but it was also our biggest debate. Belvedere dirty martini with blue cheese stuffed olives. I will miss him. And she also says bullshit. But that was Mary McNulty, a very good friend of ours. Well, Lee's on the line from MK Brody.
So, yep.
Can you
Thanks
hear
for
me
putting
now?
on. So let's bring Lee up. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Lee.
I guess you still can't hear me.
Can you hear me?
Wait.
There
What
you
did
go.
I think I just heard Paul.
Okay, go ahead, and then you can hear me now, though.
Yeah.
It's kind of on the quiet side, but we can't. I can.
I don't know what's wrong then with the setup we got here for the microphone. It must not be picking us up good.
It's much better,
All good.
Paul.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I met Ed in 1985 at the Hat. We watched the football games there. It was a whole group there. It was a great time. And Ed would always drink his gin martinis or gin and tonics. It was always Bombay Sapphire. And he'd be in a pitcher that he would have it, and then he'd have a straw system put together, maybe 10 straws all together. So it was like a 3-foot straw that he would drink out of the pitcher with. And then, the other thing that I would think about with Ed is camping with him and the ginormous tarp that he would set up, and it would shield us all from rain, or if it was intense sun, we could all go under there, and it was, I don't know, 400 or 500 square feet of space underneath this collection of tarps. So everybody could join in there and stay dry or stay out of the sun and kind of commune and enjoy each other. So it was a real community thing that he did. And he was always giving, as other people have said here today, that was the best thing about him. You could always count on him to help you out, anything, any problem you had, he would always be there. So thank you, Ed. We're all going to miss you so much.
I can tell he probably hears those rings, I tell you.
All you needed to throw a bullshit in there.
And I think, are we ready for Lee? Mikey?
Hi, everybody. Met Ed in 2005 when I bought a company and needed to move my company to the computer age. And Ed and Mike came over and helped us do that and get ourselves up and running. And then we moved to another building, and Ed was very helpful with all that. And over the years, God, you have conversations with Ed and they start with, whiskey, books, computers, and God knows where they end up, right? I'm sure all of us have had those conversations with Ed. And right now we're standing at in the Art Institute in the Chicago Board of Trade room. And I'm sure this would have been something that Ed and I would have talked about for half an hour. About all the things that went on here. And Ed was just such a deeply knowledgeable person he just knew so much about so many things: bicycling, camping, whiskey, food, computers, books, people, rock and roll. Did you all know about the company he had in Minnesota? Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay.
SDR&R Productions. Anybody know that name?
Mm,
Nobody? Sandra?
no, I don't think he ever mentioned. Either that or I saw it
SDR&R.
and I
What
just
does
didn't
that
recognize
stand
what it
for?
was.
Mikey, you know it, don't you?
Not that I recall, but it could have been during a camping trip.
Aha. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. SDR&R Productions.
Ah,
Yeah, that was his first company, I believe. He said. At least that's what he told me.
That's what he told me.
He told Alice too. Yeah. And
What did the company do?
oh,
well, that
always
might.
ask
Well,
Cody.
I believe they did graphics, something like that. They produced album cover graphics. Yeah,
That
I
sounds
think
like
that's
it.
what it was.
That sounds like it.
Yeah. Let's see, and
Catchy
then
marketing though.
what was that?
It's catchy marketing though.
You
It
bet.
is.
Right. Absolutely. Let's see what else. I had some other notes. Well, I'll definitely miss him. And I don't know what made Ed say things like this, but he always told me he loved me.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
And I can thoroughly see that. Because
Yeah.
he's known you for ages.
That's only
Mhm.
15 years or so, 17, whatever it
That's
was.
still a long time, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. He was a
Yeah.
good guy.
I
Sure did
figured-
appreciate it. Kept us safe all those years. And
Yeah.
had lots of good conversations and definitely always kept us guessing about when he was going to show up at the building. Yeah. But like the doctor said, you got the key, close up when you're done. And
Yeah, exactly.
came in when he wanted, he left when he needed to. He kept us safe all those years. I really appreciate that.
Personally and professionally, I think too.
Mhm.
He
Yes,
thought a
absolutely.
lot about you. A lot about you.
Thank you. Well, we appreciated him. He definitely helped us out. Helped us get to where we are today.
Yeah, a lot of people, as a matter of fact. A lot of people.
Absolutely. Well, I hope he's happy and at peace and yeah, all that.
Thank you.
I'm sure he would know his suffering is done.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Time for the kickback and watch the trees grow kind of thing.
Yeah. I will say I never called bullshit on Ed. And I probably should have a couple of times. Thanks,
But you
everybody.
probably thought about it though. You thought about it.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Lee.
Yep.
Ed was my personal IT department, so I'm kind of wondering who's going to take that over now. So you can raise your hand and let me know.
It's gonna cost you, Cody.
Well, no, you have to do
Ask
it.
Lee, he
You
knows.
have to do it for the same fee Ed charged. 0.
All right. Julie, you want to go ahead?
Sure.
ahead.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah.
I'm Julie Boniface, and I'm one of Ed's friends from the camping crew, concert crew, and one time Ed came to one of our dinners that we were having. I forget where it was, but he had this whole new club he was very excited about that he wanted to show everybody what he was doing, and it turned out to be the Lapidary Club, of which he was doing wire wrapping and chainmail. Actually, he made beautiful chainmail chains and pendants. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that because it was kind of not something that anyone else has spoken about here yet. And I see Pat Coco from the club is on the call. We would have meetings, like it turned out Ed became the president. I really don't know how that came about because when I joined the club, he was the president. And then somehow I became the vice president. And it's actually surprising to me to hear that he was in a Toastmasters club because he was very confident when he was the president, and I was very unconfident when I had to take over his duties when he wasn't there. So I thought that's kind of interesting to hear that he was in the Toastmaster club. And I work in IT, and so sometimes we would have some conversations either during the board meetings or walking out to our car after the meetings, and I would tell him how I'm working on a SharePoint site at work, and he would joke with me like, I should hire you to teach SharePoint or to work on SharePoint. And then one time I said to him, you know, you're teaching and you also have clients that you're working with. And I said, which do you like better? Do you like the teaching better or do you like the working with the clients better? And he was like, you know what, both. He liked both because one informed him of the other. Like the questions that the students asked challenged him to look at maybe at things a different way, and also the client work helped him look at things in a different way. So I thought that was a pretty cool answer and very insightful as far as the person that Ed is. So that's all I have to say really, but I just wanted to say that he's definitely going to be missed and bullshit.
There you go. That deserved a nice big fat ring.
Bullshit.
I think here, oh, Jane and Dave are on too. Doesn't sound like they have a microphone, so I'm just going to read it off. Jane and Dave, her husband, said that we knew Ed from a couple of camping trips we joined in on with my brother Dave or slash Cody. And yes, we would share anything he had, and he would share anything he had with us. And he was so kind and helpful with whatever was needed for us novice campers. It was obvious that what a great friend he was with all who knew him. Thank you very much, Jane. Dave.
Yeah, we're here, Sandra. We're really
Oh, I
sorry
didn't know
for
if
your.
you had a microphone or not.
No, that's okay. We're so sorry for your loss. It's
Thank you.
heartbreaking for all of us.
Yeah, but we'll always have him somewhere near us. So.
Yep.
Yeah, and by the way, that was, I think it's officially called the West Suburban Lapidary Club, I think, for the full title, for the whole thing. But yeah,
Yes, it is.
He would sit huddled over a small, as a matter of fact, he would do that during camping, like hunched over on a small table or picnic table, putting together chainmail and quietly, you know, like a little mouse tinkering with his jewelry tools and his chainmail tools, making rings in order to be able to put them together. I don't know if anybody's ever seen some of the products, but I think he even gave one of his musician friends, Matt Arndt, something for him and his wife. I mean, he had recently gotten married in the last couple of years, and he gave them both a gift, I believe, for their nuptials, basically. So, but does any and I don't know if anybody can see the I'm not sharing. One second. Yeah, I was sharing. One more second. Hands are just not doing what the head is telling it to today. See the screen? That's turning back. Sorry about that.
We do hear it now.
Oh yeah, probably because I wasn't the one sharing my system audio. Everybody else was, and I think that's the reason.
So
it's still too low?
No, too high. We can barely hear you. It's hard to hear you. That's probably pretty good.
Screen to come back, I'd be good.
I think by the time we try to tell her the state of it, it's moving. Do you just want to keep it on the quiet side? I think previously Bill and Jen had their hand up.
Okay. I'll keep it up. I'll go back in there.
Hi, everyone. Can you guys hear us?
I can.
All right, great.
It's good.
Well, yeah, thanks for doing this, Mikey, Sandra, the group. You know, it was a few years ago that you know, Uncle Cody invited us out to go camping during the Memorial Day trips, and it was pretty apparent Ed's selflessness and just the way he brought everyone in as part of the family. No matter who was there, where you came from, you were there camping, and you were part of the group. You know, the late night conversations, hijinks, and just amazing way that he went about making everyone feel, you know, feel welcome and just felt good. And I think that was something that it's been brought up quite a bit, is that Ed just made you feel good. He made you feel welcome, and it was, you know, and I remember, as was mentioned before, that canopy and the setup, I've never seen anything like it. You know, it was pretty incredible. Yep, yeah, that's a great picture. You know, the camping trips were always incredible, and loved every second of it. The smoked salmon, ice cream, random trips out to get whatever keg needed to be replenished, and it was always just a wonderful time, you know, being able to be a part with Sandra, Mikey, family, everyone, and yep, just all the pictures coming back. So it was just beautiful, and Ed was beautiful too, and we just appreciate getting to know him and everyone, and you know, looking forward to many more. But you know, again, these things never happen to plan, so we'll miss Ed, and obviously we'll be throwing, you know, doing a lot more camping in his name. So thanks for letting us share.
Thank you. See how big that canopy was? Probably could have fit, what, 20 people under there?
Remember that weekend that it was, oh God, it had to be about 40 to 45 degrees and raining, and Eloise was brand spanking new, and we were, oh God, I think, Sandra, that backdrop you had was, you know, saving our butts from the wind and the rain, and man, that was all good stuff. Yeah, so many times.
Yeah, we're gonna have a big one this coming Memorial Day.
That was Memorial Day, and then the other Memorial Day, you know, another Memorial Day. It's, you know, 95 degrees, or 90, literally, or so. And remember Jane and Dave, and we're all trying to hide underneath that tarp to run away from the sun. So you never knew what you were going to get, but it was always fun. It was always interesting, and it was always great. And that's why we came back every year.
Yeah, so we have the group site again this year, so.
Yes, and it's all on because of that also, mind you. So this Memorial Day is campsite is on Ed. So so thanks, Ed.
Yeah, thank you. And we're gonna toast him. Big time. There's Bruce Hoff from Minnesota. I think he went to high school with Bruce.
Here's Bruce.
I forgot what Eden Prairie High School. That probably damaged him for life. No, just kidding. I've heard stories. And there's the infamous hat. I don't think it is around anymore. I can't find it. We always go on our hikes.
Also, how about going to 1776 and, you know, getting rid of some of that old wine Ed had in the locker, you know.
No.
You know, they do him a favor, get rid of some of that wine so he can make room for more.
Yeah, some of the best pictures were the hikes that we went on with a bunch of us. Whoever would get up in the morning, and usually Ed was, again, not the morning person, and I would end up probably getting up early and going out on the hike with everybody. This is one of those rare occasions where he did join us. So. Can you still hear the music? Or is it too loud? It's kind of hard to level out a lot of the soundtrack itself because some was really loud and some was really low, and I tried to balance it out. More images. And this was kind of my favorite one of these images. He just looks with as global as Microsoft was. We always kind of stood in a little bit of the light itself and helped to create that for the company itself. So. Sorry about that. Making too many items. You can see I don't know if you can see the dates on some of these. They go way, 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 way back.
So we've got. It's getting a little loud, Sandra. Do you want to turn it down a little bit? And then we've got Chuck with his hand up.
I met Ed in 2005 back at Oakton, about a year before his first MVP. I went back to Oakton having a desire to refresh my skill set. And I took classes with Ed for years and years to come until he basically came to me and said, "We don't need you taking classes, we need you teaching classes. We'll help you with the update on the minor nuance with the change in the operating system. But when he received his first MVP, what was that, April of 2006? I believe that was during a Saturday class that the certificate was presented to them. And I distinctly remember being in class with him that day. He was so thrilled. The date just sort of concerned me. This happened on April 1st. Why in the world would you give something like that that could potentially be an April Fool's Day joke? I'm so glad that it wasn't, because he was so thrilled by the receipt. And he used to have, in the classroom that he taught in on the Skokie campus, he had them lining the walls. He made people jealous by having all these MVP certificates on the wall, but it is what it is. He was always kind, always generous, always willing to share. Yes, he was willing to work till 1 o'clock in the morning without hesitation. As a matter of fact, he went to the extent of getting permission from the dean to be allowed to be on campus after 10 o'clock. They tried to kick everybody out. But he had special permission to be able to do the work that he did. Ed and I connected on several different levels. We even worked together for a while. We both had a strong love of the Grateful Dead. I sent him a copy of the last show that he attended before he made me jealous as hell by getting tickets to the final shows that were in Soldier Field 10 years ago. But I will always look back at Ed as a great friend. We had and shared many beers and pizza together after his teaching at Oakton. As he brought me into Oakton to teach, he wanted to know exactly my teaching style, so he co-taught probably 4 classes with me over a time period, making sure that I knew the material and could handle it on my own. This was just to enable him as an adjunct instructor in the wonderful world of Oakton and the state of Illinois, to give him the ability to teach more classes and more classes. I can't understand how in the world he would be able to get to Skokie on a Saturday morning, driving all the distance that he did. How many miles did he put on that car? Or how many cars did he wear out with all the mileage he put? Yes, you should be laughing. He did. He drove constantly. And the one thing that I know of him as an MVP, and maybe one of you can confirm or deny this, he told me that at one reception, Vice President of Microsoft was there with the MVPs dining, and Ed was eating something like a blueberry cheesecake. And he managed to be able to spill the blueberry sauce all over the vice president of Microsoft at the time.
That sounds about normal.
Okay. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt. He told wonderful stories. He became a wonderful friend. So much so that I drove hundreds of miles to attend the funeral of his father and collected shell casings from the 21 gun salute that they gave him at Abraham Lincoln Memorial Cemetery, which is so blasted far away. But anyway, Ed was a good friend. and meant the world to a lot of people at Oakton. He worked so well with everybody. I will consider him a friend. He often would join me for dinner after lapidary work. He would show the work that he had been doing to my wife and I, especially the chainmail. It was amazing. Here's to you, Ed. You're a good friend.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thanks so much, Chuck. Don, you got your hand raised. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I met Ed. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get through this, but I met him when I was a bartender, my first bartending job back in the early 80s. And, you know, the long straw coming out of the pitchers, I made those drinks for him. Ed was not in a good place back then. He didn't have a place to live. And so, you know, we became good friends, and I found that out and brought him home. Said to my roommates, it was Jim and Bob, you know, they said, sure, you can stay. So we had Ed living with us, and we became very, very good friends. And fast forward to last Christmas Eve, I let Jim know what happened. And Jim told me that, you know, he only wished he could share it with his mother because she knew Ed very well. She happened to work at Oakton. And Jim, well, what he said was he was a welcome guest at Algonquin Road, and we all loved him for his genuine kindness. I hope he was a happy soul in his later years. And I wish him a very Merry Christmas and a great journey beyond this life. Cheers, Brother Ed. And bullshit.
Thank you, Donna. That seems to be the theme today.
And this one foamed.
Let's see anybody else that wants to offer. Oh, Dan, I just read your post about who brought an applied mathematics book to Toastmasters. Is that a snooze fest right there, or what?
He talked about I think it was middle school or high school. He was introduced to that book from I want to say it was another teacher. I don't think he took the class, but he had this book, and it taught him the difference between kind of the math you learn as a kid and applied mathematics, which, you know, expand out to like computer science and useful uses of math. And that was one of the speeches I remember him giving.
Cool.
I remember that speech too. Dan, do you remember his icebreaker speech? I remember him telling us about how he got into computers through in high school, I think it was. What his first exposure to computers was, and how that was the entry point to his lifelong love of computers. Dan, do you remember that story?
I'm trying to remember the details, but the book was what stood out to me.
Yeah, he was a good storyteller, and yeah, that book, I remember that book, and I remember him telling that story. I forgot most of the details of the story, but I remember him telling it.
Oh, Steve Tripp posted too, and I never got a chance to read it. He said Ed was a great guy, always smiling and willing to help. I enjoyed talking with him on all kinds of topics. He was a mountain of knowledge, many great camping trips and all that he will never forget. He will be missed. Thank you, Steve. That was very nice. I can walk and chew gum at the same time. Let's see another. I believe that's Tessa Hobbs. Is that correct? I see you used to connect with her all the time. I don't know if you guys know her.
So does anybody ever know where Ed went when, we were camping and Ed had to go somewhere and then he'd come back a day later? Where did he go?
He went home to get stuff. Like a lighter or something like that, or a kegger.
Yeah, he had to go for cigarettes. He had actually a John Lennon, he would have John Lennon moments, He went out for cigarettes and come back a day later,
Yeah.
They were classic.
I think this is one of the images of the MVP Summit. You can see how many people come from around the world just to join. You can still see my screen, right? It looks like I'm still sharing. How the collective brain trust you see in this I believe it's the hotel ballroom or something like that. But he also always used to walk up to people and start talking about just about anything, whether it be
Ed without a beard.
Huh? Oh yeah, that was a while ago though. This is his old Harper College badge too. There's the Oakton College badge. And I like this a lot too. They took my joy, I want it back. They took my joy, I want it back. Joy. Oh, my joy. Tell ya, I went down to Memphis looking for my joy. Said I went down to Memphis. This is how many people. Maybe in Memphis I thought this was a real touching card. I really, and you can see the scope of how many, once you start going through it, how many people actually knew and loved him. And I'll post this link. It's actually down at the bottom of the screen. You can see here. But I can certainly post that to Facebook if anybody wants to actually read some of those. Because there's some really touching ones, and some, you can see how many different people knew him from all different areas of Microsoft itself. So, and this goes on for quite a number of pages. And luckily they add the pictures too. So you can see I'm only halfway there. But I will post that if anybody would care to read some of that kind of stuff too. I just thought it was just a very touching consideration for them to forward that sympathy card to us. So that I appreciate it. I really appreciate it.
So I went I had the opportunity to read through most of that, and yes, it was a great card. Thank you to the MVPs and others at Microsoft that were a part of that.
Yeah. And here's that stuff that made part of Ed's brain so interesting, as they say. Watching these kind of movies and laughing and sharing those kind of funny moments with us. This was, I've never seen this particular one, but I didn't really look that hard, and I just noticed that it was Groucho Marx and John Lennon, not Karl Marx and I forgot what the Lenin, the real Lenin, or the Russian Lenin, but and I thought this was kind of an apropos statement, is how can you be in two places at once when you're not anywhere at all? It's so Ed. And yes, Cody, we're gonna have to do a Mel Brooks fest.
Okay.
We're gonna have to do that one of these weekends.
Yeah, he loved all that stuff, didn't he? He did.
He
Like
could
you said,
quote them, like literally quote almost certain scenes that really affected him. And then there's always National Lampoon.
Yeah, the Lampoons. He knew them all word by word.
I know, and could quote you every single show.
Right.
Or the broadcast that they had. Well,
Sandra, I will miss our dinners. Okay. I'll miss our dinners, us three going out or you coming to my house, you guys, and
it's like going out, but going in.
Yeah, or come after going out and then coming back to my house or whatever. It was all. It was having ice cream, just all of that stuff.
Yeah, now that I got you hooked on Zanzibar chocolate. Right. And it's only a mile away.
Right.
This is an oldie but a goodie.
Wow.
I forgot I think the guy in the front with the mustache is the one to the far right is Dave Fingerman. I don't know if these guys, both of the guy in sunglasses and the guy to the right are from Minnesota when he was living there. And you can see how young he looked. His dad is to the left, the one in the dark shirt. You can see the same cheeks and the same nose kind of thing going on. I can't tell his dad has glasses on. I think this is his dad later in years, and I think that's the one in front is his Aunt Pat, and I think that could be either Daniel in the front. I think his dad had two brothers, Daniel and Joseph. I think I got to meet Aunt Pat, not the other sister. So. And then there's Minnesota. Another time period that shaped his young mind, as they say. The guy over to the right that's Bruce Hoff. I don't know if he got to join us here today, but I'm certainly going to send him a copy of this recording so that he can join in the remembrances. Other friends. I think this was during it was Hopkins, Minnesota, I think high school. And these are some of his classmates from that high school, Hopkins High School, I believe it was. I'm trying to recall. Too many things to remember. There's Bruce Hoff again during that same class reunion.
Hey Sandra, the music's a little too loud. People are saying sometimes it's hard to hear you.
Okay, hold on one second. Thought I had to turn way down. I'm probably not close enough. I'll move closer, as a matter of fact. Is that a little any better?
A little bit.
Yeah, because I'm closer. I'll move a lot closer. I'm kind of far away from the microphone. Let's see. I don't know if anybody got to meet, I forgot what his real name is. All I knew was by his nickname, Cal. I'm trying to recall. I just happened to come upon this particular picture. And this is just in a memoriam. Here's a good friend of ours, John Boniface. He also passed away suddenly, as a matter of fact. But all I can say along with that is John would say, bullshit.
Here's again, John and Ed. Bullshit.
John and Ed. Yep. I just happened to come upon this one, and I figured they're probably talking at the fire pit right now and poking the fire, as they say.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Yeah, and this is a picture of our good friend and neighbor, Debbie Christop. We've known them she actually was going to Harper as well, and I think that's how basically she got to know Ed, and then I got to know her because I believe we were in the same one or two of the same classes, as a matter of fact. So, but this is her husband and Drew's, that's her husband Drew, and that's Drew's mom. So I just wanted to make sure that we got make sure that they were acknowledged, because they're a big part of how we ended up in McHenry and how we've gotten to settle down where we are. Next slide. Didn't expect that one. But
the music got a little louder again.
Okay. 1 second.
I needed a haircut back then.
Nah.
I was going for the Mikey look.
Well, it's short now. So you may recall my long days of having hair, you know, down to, well, here. Uh-oh. It looks like we lost Sandra.
Yeah, but she'll join back here.
Yeah.
She'll be back. Right.
Oh, yeah. Anybody else got any thoughts to want to mention?
I'm sure we all could talk for a long time about how it affected us, because it was all generally very positive.
Agreed, bullshit.
And you're all welcome to join us camping. So we'll be in Memorial Day. We'll be in Pine Woods as usual. And if you can't even stay overnight, come down and have a beer. I think we're gonna need to get Sandra. I think we're gonna need to get Ed's beer or keg
Kegerator.
His setup so that we can have a continual toast to Ed over Memorial Day weekend. And he would obviously love all of that.
Sandra, you're muted.
Sorry about that. I knocked myself out when I was trying to get at the volume. Where was I? This guy.
You're here. You're here now.
Please disregard the woman behind the curtain. 1 second. Let me get this back up. Is that too loud?
Not
You're
hearing it.
still, yeah, not hearing it, and I don't see your screen either.
Oh, that's probably 'cause I'm not sharing it. Hands are just not doing what the head is telling it to.
There we go.
Oh, goodness gracious. Technology, I gotta love it. All right, again. This guy, and this guy, and this guy. Come on, buddy. That's it. Hopefully it's not too loud.
Not, yeah, started loud. Now it's not so bad. I think it's trying to autocorrect.
Is that still too loud?
You were kind of on the quiet side compared to the music.
Yeah, because I'm stepping away from the microphone again. Oop.
Yeah, there it's in the background.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
Right there.
yeah, because it's trying to load balance between my voice.
Yeah.
I gotta get used to that. I'm not used to public speaking, as you can kind of tell.
All right, sorry, I need to correct that. We'll be camping in Hickory Woods on Memorial Day. Inside our, so not Pine Woods, but Hickory Woods by Whitewater Lake. Inside our.
We can post that too. If anybody wants to get a hold of any one of us, we can certainly email you the particulars as well.
Absolutely.
And here's our Thanksgiving feast we've been having over the Eggers. You can see how many dishes we have on the table, how many bottles of wine, as they say. There's Dave again.
Wow. Man, I look old.
Hi, Eloise. We hope you feel better. Boo boo. She got a boo boo. I'm sorry you hurt. Hope to see you soon. We love you.
We love you. Bye.
Nice.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of like a good way of showing off his voice and his demeanor.
That's good. That's nice.
This is a really old picture of Eloise, and I used to think of him doing this like Santa Claus, you know, having kids on the lap and making him laugh and making him just be happy to be around them. So I always like this picture. This is one of my fondest pictures that I have in my collection of images. So, and here she all growed up when she got growed up. And calling Joanne at our last Thanksgiving dinner. So, and then this is when we got together after post-COVID.
It's one of the last pictures we have, isn't it, Sandra?
No. That's coming up.
Okay.
And here's Don and Cody having a spot of tea. And actually, I think it was espresso, right? Espresso.
A spot.
And here was the week before.
Oh yeah, right. There we go.
It's Don in his very festive sweater that he got. And that's the special craft that Eloise had made up for him for the holidays, the image on the bottom. course, it's a wine bottle, of course. I don't think that Eloise drank all the wine herself, but you know, hey, just joking. But yeah, I think it was what I'm really glad we had that at least right before his passing. So
It was beautiful.
we had a good time. I really had a good time. It was good to talk to everybody. So.
I have to admit I got to see Ed the day before his passing and spend an evening with him and how much you don't get how what you thought was such a normal night was, well, it was special too, just because Ed's always fun to be with, you know. Unfortunately, Sandra was out of town at that point, but you know, we all never thought anything different, you know, and we never knew, of course, tomorrow was never going to happen, and it was just it was nice to have that time.
We still got hugs. We still got hugs.
Yeah.
Here's that Bombay Sapphire. Just it's a gin martini, straight up, no vermouth. You would have been struck on the head if you put vermouth into the martini.
With the blue cheese olives. He gave me that blue cheese olive maker, whatever, and he loved that thing. And then whoever made that, I'm sorry, I know there's a story behind it. I just can't recall the whole story behind that all, but
somebody actually makes money off of those making.
Yeah, yes. Yes.
Probably not a lot, but yeah. And then there's the Scotch whiskey, and you notice this is an empty bottle, not a full bottle. It's still not being aged any longer. It's being aged internally. But, and then Cody's and Dave's favorite.
Well, Ed introduced me to Turley, and it was a very nice bottle of wine. So Ed and I enjoyed having wine and finding good wine and enjoying good wine and you know, we all would have. It was fun to have. It was great to have to buy a bottle of nice wine and to have, you know, Ed and Sandra over and they would appreciate a fine bottle of wine, an expensive bottle of wine, but a fine bottle of wine, and to know that you're not alone going, oh man, this is good stuff, and I will always remember that kind of stuff too.
You just like us having taste buds, Cody.
You know, I'll never forget one time.
Wine.
One time at 1776, we did a tasting and Ed had all the bottles, okay, and so he had the same vintage but just different years, and tasting the same wine but with just different years was an incredible realization, and how, which you don't get, you know, and unless you do stuff like that, you don't understand that. And Ed was able to bring that kind of stuff to the, you know, he loved teaching people about things too, and that was all very good.
Yeah, and he learned that from his dad, because I think his dad used to own a restaurant, and that's where he picked up his love of wine and Scotch, and
I think he picked it up from the Gallagher name. Okay, that's where Ed picked that up from.
Yeah. And then I think this was the giving before last, the charcuterie board we made up.
You know what charcuterie board that wasn't, Sandra?
What?
That charcuterie board that we had at that one restaurant, that it literally had like a quarter of a strawberry. Oh no, excuse me, of a raspberry. Okay.
That's right. That's right.
Literally the worst charcuterie board in the world.
We were lucky to each get one. One of anything.
But what I loved about it all was the ability to talk about how rotten it was for so long afterwards.
But it's still a memory. It's still a memory.
It is a great, unfortunately, how bad it was, it's a good memory.
Because we were together, Dave. Come on.
Exactly. Sandra.
Yeah, I think this was at Belo's. We just were amazed that they even had, because most places don't have lamb, and this was really awesome. We enjoyed ourselves when we could, but because, you don't get out to do much because you're working and working, and you don't really get to appreciate your company. And that's what I always thought food was like. It talks about, talks to how you connect with people and how people create food and how it's a part of their culture, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, and this is that. Every time I go to a sushi restaurant, it's just like watching artists, this display something in 3 dimensions, and it's just mind-boggling how beautiful it is and how simple. It really is simple, but it's so gorgeous to look at, and it makes you want to look at it, makes you want to eat it. It's just so much nice balance and artistry and placement, and it's like a thought converging in one place, so that it becomes something beautiful that you really want to stare at, but you also want to sustain yourself with that beautiful food, because that's what it does to you. Beauty in, beauty out kind of thing.
So Ed really, he's a person who kind of really introduced me to sushi, and it was, I never thought I would like it, and I did, and
Yeah, you were always making potatoes, right?
Yeah. Ed would, what's the word? He would challenge you to try or do things that were, one, either A, out of your comfort zone, or B, that you've never done. And much as I didn't like it, I did, and because I mean, I love sushi now, and if it wasn't for Ed, I wouldn't really know sushi. And so that was kind of one of the nice parts about it. As much as he could, sorry, but be a pain in the ass in the way he did it, and we all know that. Okay, this is not. I'm not speaking out of that people don't understand. Yeah, it is not disrespectful. Okay, not at all. Okay, but
that was the opinionated part of the equation.
Yeah, and that was the part that Ed wanted to do it his way too. I had other ways to say about it, but Ed was an opinionated person, and Ed had his way, and as much as I rebelled against Ed's way, I learned new things because of Ed's way, and I like things of Ed's way, and that was good.
He would teach you why it was his way, the benefits of it, right?
Yeah.
He would explain it to you. He'd explain it to you.
He would explain it to you, but we would explain it to you. It was the best because it was his way. Well, he didn't quite say it that way, but it was his way. So, and
But yeah, I don't know if you can see that second rainbow that we
Yeah.
happen to be at Julianne's having, you know, a custard cone or something like, or a custard sundae. And it just so happens the rain happened to end and you can slightly see the other rainbows sitting right next to it. So, you know, there was a reason why we ended up at Julianne's. We got to see double rainbow, not so much the custard, but the double rainbow.
Is this where Carrie Dairy is right now?
Well, no, it's Carrie Dairy is right down the road from Cody's house.
Dave, yeah.
Right, but is that where it used to? Was that what was used to be, or is that a different? It looks
This
very
is a different
familiar.
custard place. Julianne's makes different
Yeah.
flavors more so than Carrie Dairy. Carrie Dairy is family owned. This one's been around for I think about 20 years. Julianne's, but they make flavors like pie fight, which they throw blueberry pie, raspberry pie, strawberry pie into custard and crumble it in and mix it all in, and it's so good. I have to get a full quart of that one every time, you know, when we used to go, but you had to get it when they actually make it. So, but they make it in-house directly. But yeah, it was one of our favorite things to do when we were feeling like we got beat up that week by work, or that we wanted to enjoy taking a moment and, you know, having something sweet, because we usually don't get the dessert, and sometimes it's a treat just to treat yourself with a little bit of ice cream. I mean, who doesn't like ice cream? Come on.
Right. Hey, Rhonda, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but how did you meet Ed?
How did I meet Ed? Ed used to come into, and I'm sorry I'm late. I couldn't figure out how to get in here. But he used to come into Ye Olde Town Inn when I worked there in Mount Prospect. And then you, Dave, you know, because you took me to a party at his house where everybody was tripping and I didn't know it, which was no big deal for me because I had tripped before. But is it okay to say here, are we all amongst friends?
Yeah, some family oriented stuff, but
okay. So
Rhonda lived across the street. Rhonda lived across the street from the house where Don had brought Ed in to help, you know, to move into, and so that was that was the time, right?
Yeah, and so yeah, I didn't know that Ed lived across the street from me, and so I went to that party, not realizing at the party, but like I said, this was many years ago. I was in my 20s, so 40, almost 50, I don't know, too long, too long. But and that's where Dave and I decided to go pool hopping. So that's all I'll say. So yeah, but I originally met Ed through Ye Olde Town Inn in Mount Prospect, when I used to bartend there. So many moons ago. That's a great picture of Ed.
Yeah, that's when he had I think we were down at one of the blues festivals downtown Chicago, and he was eating a popsicle, and we all got, you know how it's food coloring, so it dyes your tongue, and a bunch of us I just told him, your tongue is all orange, and he did, and a bunch of other people did. I didn't quite catch the images of them, but yeah, I thought this was a good, you know, playful image of him being a kid and sticking his tongue out.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, he's well missed, and you know, he helped me out many times when my kids were young as a single mom. You know, the you know, things that I wasn't capable of doing if I needed something fixed or something. You know, Ed was there to help. So I'm very grateful for that, and for our friendship over the years, and all the wonderful camping trips we had, and how he set everything up. And you know, planned everything out to the detail. I mean, whenever I bought friends on those camping trips, they're like, I've never camped like this before, you know, because it was just so wonderful.
Yep, but you should join us this Memorial Day, because I think we're going to just do a group toast. You know, you don't have to stay overnight. You can, you know, come in for the afternoon, but I think it'd be kind of fun to see you for a weekend if you can do it and you're not working. So
yeah, I'd have to see if I have to work. There's no there are no we don't get what do you call it, holidays off, so I have to look and see, but I might be able to take it.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, but I'd love to. Yeah,
just let us know. We'll get you the info.
okay, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's good to see everybody here. It's been a long time.
It's been a very long time.
Yeah.
But I happened to find some posters that Ed had collected that I should probably get, you know, either curated into, because they don't have any kind of frames or anything, but this commemorated Jerry Garcia's passing way back in, I believe it says 1995. But I thought it was kind of apropos here too.
Absolutely, yeah.
And a couple other things. He had copies of old tickets that he went for shows. There's Janine.
Oh yeah, yeah. To my first and only Grateful Dead concert. But Jerry,
this is another one of his posters. But note the ticket price is down at the bottom. Just boggles the mind. That was only 1969.
Wow.
For 3 days for $18. Not gonna happen nowadays.
Yeah.
That's how much a beer costs nowadays.
Exactly. That's one beer, not multiple beers. That's
right.
Beer.
A beer.
A beer. And there's Don. Don Bow.
On the lawn.
On the lawn.
Alpine.
That's Alpine?
Oh yeah.
I don't remember.
Well, I don't know, but
yeah, don't know for sure, but the you know, I can't think of any other venue that has that kind of slope.
Well, and the trees behind it.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, I thought it might have been Ravinia too. But
it looks like Alpine to me.
Yeah.
Or popular.
I don't know. Too many tie-dye shirts to be Ravinia.
Right, yeah. That's true.
Yeah, and he often in last couple of years he's been going to Shoe Fest too. This was his last one. Also Blatopia and I think the last couple of years.
So Shoe Fest Ed had. So I went to a few Shoe Fests with Ed, and yeah, Shoe Fest had become Ed's festival of choice. And but what was nice about it, because it was also close, and because it was in Illinois for a change, and because I did go to Bonnaroo with Ed down in Tennessee, and that was unbelievably great. Remember Mike West? If you're still on the line, that was so fun. But Shoe Fest had become Ed's festival of choice lately, and I know that we met and created new friends back from Shoe Fest, and we'll have these friends forever. So
yeah, and the other thing about Shoe Fest is you really didn't have to take much with you because it's camping and concerts, whereas
yes,
we also had people that brought pizza ovens and taco trucks, right, Dave?
Well, yeah. Well, but once again, Ed would bring this, this tarp, that people that have never seen this tarp this size before, and put this thing up. And I was always a little embarrassed because, I mean, we were camping next to people, that you didn't know next to their tent, but Ed had this tent that was, or this tarp that was just massive. And but because of it, we also got to meet a lot of people that, you know, would wander into our site, and that was what Ed always thrived on and loved, and meeting new people and